All right, let's talk about what it really takes to build AI that you can actually rely on in the real world. We're going to break down the three absolute pillars: prompt engineering, content engineering, and RAG. Let's dive in. I love this quote because it hits the nail on the head. Anyone can whip up a cool AI demo that looks impressive, but taking that demo and turning it into a reliable, safe, enterprise-grade system, that is a completely different ballgame. The secret isn't finding a better model, it's building a smarter architecture. So how do we build that architecture? Well, it all comes down to these three pillars. You've got prompt engineering, content engineering, and RAG. And the beautiful part is how they work together. Each one is designed to solve the limitations of the others. Okay, let's start with pillar number one, prompt engineering. Think of this as the art and science of talking to the model. It's how you steer its behavior, and really how you get it to think the way you need it to think. Now, to really get prompt engineering, you have to have this critical mind shift. Unlike traditional programming, you are not executing code that gives you a predictable, guaranteed output. You're more like a guide, gently nudging a massive statistical model. You're shaping probability to make the answer you want the most likely one to appear. Developers are used to thinking like this: input 2 plus 2, output is always 4. But with an LLM, it's a totally different game. The model isn't doing math, it's predicting the next most probable word. It calculates that the token 4 is, say, 92% likely, but the word 4 is maybe 7% likely. It's all just a complex game of probabilities. And that means prompt engineering is so much more than just asking nicely. It's a real discipline. You are literally designing a behavioral interface, a control panel, if you will, for this incredibly complex, probabilistic system. And through that control panel, you get to steer all sorts of things. You can dial in the reasoning depth, set the tone from formal to friendly, demand a specific format like JSON, and even enforce safety and compliance rules. This is really where you separate the casual user from the professional. If you're just playing with a consumer chatbot, prompting feels like trying to find some magic words. But in the enterprise world, no way. It's about creating a verifiable contract with the AI, so its output is repeatable, machine parseable, and totally reliable. But, and this is a huge but, prompt engineering has its limits. It has a hard ceiling. As powerful as it is, it can't know things it was never trained on. It has zero access to your private company data, it knows nothing about events that happened 5 minutes ago, and it certainly can't stop hallucinations all by itself. I think this is the perfect analogy. Prompt engineering steers the car. It gives you control over its behavior, but it absolutely does not provide the fuel, which is the knowledge, or the map, the context. And for that, we need our next pillar. And this is where we get that fuel and that map. Pillar number 2 is content engineering. This is all about the crucial work of preparing your organization's unique knowledge so that the AI can actually understand it and use it effectively. Let's be honest, knowledge inside any big organization is born in chaos, right? It's a total mess of different file versions, random emails, scanned PDFs, you name it. Content engineering is the process that heroically wades into that chaos and transforms it all into a clean, ordered, perfectly indexed knowledge base that an AI can actually query. So if we had to put a formal definition on it, it's just that. It's the discipline of transforming all that organizational chaos into a knowledge architecture that's actually machine readable. You're not just building a digital filing cabinet, you're creating an intelligent library purpose-built for AI. So how does this magic happen? Well, it's a pipeline. First, you ingest all that messy data from every source you can find. Then you clean it up. After that, you break it down into meaningful semantic chunks. Then comes maybe the most important step. You enrich every single chunk with metadata. And finally, you store it all in a special kind of database called a vector database. And I really can't overstate the importance of that metadata. I mean, think about it. What good is a library if none of the books have titles or authors or any kind of filing system? It would be useless. That metadata, who wrote it, what version it is, what region it applies to, that is what makes all this knowledge findable and actually useful. And here's the big payoff for all that hard work. When your content is properly engineered, you're no longer just hoping the AI finds something relevant. You can tell it, with surgical precision, only retrieve active policy documents that apply to the EU. It transforms a fuzzy probabilistic search into a sharp, deterministic lookup. It's a total game changer. Okay, so we've got a well-behaved model thanks to prompt engineering. And we have this beautifully organized knowledge base from content engineering. So how do we connect the two in real time? Well, that brings us to our third and final pillar, RAG, which stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. This is the active bridge between them. RAG is the dynamic process that kicks into gear the moment a user asks a question. It dives into your knowledge base, instantly finds the most relevant snippets of information, and then feeds them to the LLM as context just in time to form an answer. It does this dynamically for every single query. RAG is what grounds your AI in reality, specifically your company's reality. It's constantly answering the most important question. Of all of the things we know, what little piece is relevant for this question right now? This is your number one weapon against hallucinations, and it ensures your answers are based on facts. So now, let's bring it all together, because these aren't three separate, competing ideas. They are three essential layers of a single, unified system that you need to build production-ready AI. So let's just recap it one more time. Prompt engineering solves for how the model thinks. That's our behavioral steering. Content engineering solves for what the model knows. That's your knowledge curation. And finally, RAG solves for what knowledge gets used and when. That is your real-time contextual grounding. And honestly, if you take just one thing away from this, let it be this. The race to build great enterprise AI, it isn't about getting your hands on the newest, biggest, most powerful model. It's about being a great engineer. It's about the deliberate, thoughtful process of building a solid architecture around whatever model you use. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about for your own work. Is the AI you're building based on a clever magic trick that just happens to work most of the time? Or is it founded on a solid, reliable architecture built on these three pillars?